Hi, this is Chris with Orange Coast College's Art Department, covering glazing with brushes in Adobe Photoshop for digital painters and illustrators. Now I'm getting ready to do a tiny study of this photograph here on the left, but before I do that, I want to talk to you about changing the opacity of your brush so that you can essentially glaze with your brush. Now what I mean by glazing is that we're going to put down semi-transparent paint so that we can build up to the desired hue and value. So let's take a look at a brush with 100% opacity. So let's bring that up, and I'm going to paint on this layer here. And this is my color, and when I move the brush, that's what I get. Let's paint with another color. You can kind of see it's 100% opaque. Now, let's compare that. Let's bring this down to, let's say, bring it low, 32%. Sample another color. And you can see that I can build up to my actual foreground color just by making some strokes there that are not opaque and not 100% transparent, but you can dial it in. In fact, I encourage you, when you're using the brush tool, if you've got the keyboard near you, you can just plug in some numbers straight from the keyboard. So if I want 100%, I hit 0, and there's 100% of my foreground color. Let's pick another color. I'm going to hit the 2 key. You can see up here that we've dropped to 20%, and now in order to build up to that foreground color, I got to hit it 5 or 6 times. So this is a great way to blend your colors. Let's go ahead and sample a few more. I'm going to go ahead and hit 100% opaque and give myself half of that color, and let's say half of this color. So let's say we want to make a gradation between those two colors, and boy, they're pretty far apart, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'll adjust this manually, but honestly, I typically do this with the keyboard so I can get just what I want. Here's 28%, and now I'm going to sample the blue and then run right down the middle where they're going to cover each other. Now I'm going to sample that color and run it back. And I'll do this over and over again. And I can start bringing the color out of the middle towards my edges. Now right now you can still kind of see the steps in the colors, but you just take some time. Just sample, bring it out, sample, move it over. If you feel like it's getting too far away from you, you can want to push it back. And if you're wondering how I'm making these quick samples, I'm just hitting the Option key, or on my stylus, I have that as my main stylus button. So keep on doing that, build up the opacity. Oh, getting ahead of myself a little bit, so I can come on back and just get a nice soft blend. And this was with a brush that doesn't really have much of a feather to the edges. I'll show you here in a second. We can probably do this in about 20 seconds with an airbrush. So there we have a nice gradation. Let's pick a couple more. So I'm going to pick this color, and I'm going to go flip back to 100%. And let's pick another color. Let's say this guy. Now this time, let's go ahead and pick a round brush with 0% hardness. And let's up that size a little. How's that sound? So let's flip back to 30% opacity, and it's going to go right down the middle. Sample, sample, sample. So just like that. Have a nice smooth gradation. Let's bring this guy, oops, I don't want to lose that edge. Bring him back in a little bit. So a nice smooth gradation between two colors being blended. This time, the easiest way is with a round brush with 0% hardness, because then we're in full airbrush mode. Let's make one more. And that makes really nice soft gradations. But really, you can do it with any brush if you're willing to adjust your opacity. And then lastly, let's take a look. I'm going to go back to 100% opacity, and let's sample a few more colors. Here's this guy, and let's pick a green. Now I can check this box here, which will give me pen pressure as opacity. So I can come right in here, and all I'm doing is varying how hard I'm pushing. And look at that. Instant gradation. So you're going to want to be able to blend by essentially glazing a color over a value. There's ways to do this with layer blending modes, which is an entirely different method, but it's really important that you get used to working with various levels of opacity in your brushes. So good luck and keep making great art.